This week we are talking about three obvious signs that you've got problems with your inventory management. Coming right up. So why am I talking about inventory management again? Because recently I've been dealing with some businesses who have huge inventory management problems. So there's obviously a lot of people out there still struggling. So let's talk about this topic once again. And I'm going to talk about three obvious signs that you've got inventory issues and that you need to address it. In fact, I might throw in a fourth. So what are those things? Firstly, a very long tail of inventory. If you're not sure what I mean by that, if you look at that typical graph of the level of sales and your SKUs. So here's number one SKU with the highest sales. Here's the last SKU with the lowest sales. And you get that sort of curve like this. Very typically, you see about 20% of the sales, 80% of the sales coming from about 20% of the SKUs. Good old Pareto. If you have something a lot more extreme like that, then let's say 90% of your sales coming from 10% of the SKUs, or 95% I've seen recently coming from 5% of the SKUs, you've got a bit of a problem in your inventory management. Your range is probably too big. You're going to be having all sorts of issues trying to manage it. You're going to be having stock outs, overstocks. Very, very, common situation, sadly. So that would be number one. If you've got that extreme curve, it's not an 80-20, it's like 90% of the sales coming from 10%, you've got a problem that you want to dig into. Number two, I would say a lack of stocking strategy. And again, I've seen this in the last couple of weeks, so I've got to mention it again. Very often people are blindly buying to the minimum order quantity of the suppliers. They're buying, on sort of monthly frequencies. It's too rigid, and it's right across the whole range. It's not taking account of the SKU by SKU characteristics and adapting your whole sort of management and stocking strategy and replenishment strategy based on that. Again, seen a few times in the last couple of weeks, so look out for that one. Do you have that blanket approach to dealing with stocking levels and replenishment? Number three is a good one worth asking in your own organisation. Who is responsible for the slow and obsolete stock? Is it logistics? Is it inventory management? Is it procurement? Or is it sales? I bet it's not, but it should be. The sales team should be heavily involved in the forecasts, and if those forecasts are way out, then the sales teams have got to be holding some of the responsibility for that. So look at your organisational structure and how people are responsible for inventory, their input into inventory planning. And if you've got a lot of slow and obsolete stock and no one's claiming responsibility for it, that's a sign you've got a problem. I'm going to throw in a fourth one as a little bit of a bonus, and I'm going to show you how to self-check all of this as well. So poor MOQ understanding. So it's a little bit like the stocking strategy. Minimum order quantities, don't just blindly follow those. Do look at the total cost of ownership of your inventory. Again, in the last few weeks, I've seen companies where they're buying much more than they need to because it's around a minimum order quantity. They're trying to get a low unit price, but they're being stuck with inventory that's with them for months and months and months and sometimes years. So sometimes it's better to pay a little bit more unit cost and actually get the inventory flowing through the organisation a lot quicker. Now, if you want to check yourself, I'm going to put a link up here. There's a very simple little audit. It'll take you about 2 minutes. Run through that audit and see if you suspect that you have inventory management issues. Just go through that little self-check audit. Links up here, and it will really help you understand whether you've got problems or not. So hopefully do give me feedback on that, whether you found that useful. You don't have to tell me the result, but I'd love to know that at least you found it useful. I'll also put a link down below to other inventory management related videos if you want to watch those. But for now, thanks for watching and see you again soon.